Reactions, Congressman Greg Steube of House Ways and Means Committee and former Assistant U.S. Attorney Andrew McCarthy. Gentlemen, great to see you. Thank you very much. Andy, I just can't get over the feeling inside the courtroom. Hunter walked in. He'd been assured by his attorneys, we got the deal. It's going to happen. Then he ends up, the deal falls apart. He had to plead guilty to 3 charges, 2 on taxes, 1 on the gun charge. What is he pleading to, though? I mean, isn't it correct in thinking there's no real indictment to which he could plead?
Yeah, that's right, David. First of all, he pled not guilty. He didn't plead guilty.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pled not guilty. Forgive me. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but David, all of this is related. The reason there's no indictment is the same reason that the parties couldn't answer the question today when they were asked what was being agreed to.
Right.
Because the reason you have a plea agreement is to lay out what the defendant has immunity from by taking the plea. And in this instance, what they would have to lay out is not only all the tax charges for those 5 tax years, some of which they've already let the statute of limitations lapse on, but anything that arises out of that. So to be clear, you know, money laundering, Foreign Agent Registration Act, bribery conspiracy, you'd have to lay all of that out. And the reason they didn't is because it would have been outrageous to the public if they had laid out what Hunter understood he was getting immunity from.
Yeah.
So what they did was they drafted a vague agreement so Hunter could walk away saying he understood that the case was closed as far as he's concerned. And then if you asked the Justice Department, well, what's the ambit of this? They would say, can't answer that. It's a continuing investigation. And that would have been the end of it. It was a political exercise.
Well, Congressman Steube, if it was a political exercise, the Department of Justice was acting more like a kind of co-conspirator with a defendant than a prosecutor, right?
Yep. Yeah, they're absolutely working together. You have a DOJ that's been weaponized and politicized. We've shown that just with the IRS whistleblowers that were before the Ways and Means Committee who testified that the DOJ slow-walked certain crimes in 2014 and 2015 so that the statute of limitation would toll. Those were felony crimes that they let the statute of limitations toll so they wouldn't charge that. And just the gun charge alone is a 10-year minimum mandatory requirement. And they're giving him 2 years probation, trying to lop all this together. And that's absolutely, we should not have one standard of justice for the Biden family and a completely different standard of justice for the American people.
Andy, you know, concerning the gun charge, part of the agreement apparently was that he was going to he was going to be clean. He was going to give up drugs because he blamed drugs primarily for the reason he got in trouble with a gun to begin with. Then about a week ago, he was at a home of one of his lawyer friends who walked into court with him this morning, and that lawyer friend was seen smoking a bong out on a balcony. I'm wondering if that entered into the judge's decision to kind of call into question the whole plea deal, because he wasn't even following the guidelines before he'd had a chance to plead guilty.
Yeah, well, I think everything goes into the mix, David. But the primary thing is the inability of the parties to describe what they were agreeing to. You know, a plea agreement's a contract. There has to be a meeting of the minds on it, and they have to be able to explain it to you. And when they couldn't, that was the end of it. On the firearms thing, I would just point out, I agree with what the congressman said, except I don't think it's a mandatory minimum. It's an up to 10-year sentence. But I do agree that it's the kind of offense that people typically get sent to prison for.
That's right.
And in this instance, this is not one of these cases where he lied and tried, as they say, like people who lie and then don't get the gun. He got the gun. He's recorded cavorting with a prostitute a few days later, waving the gun around, and then they disposed of the gun at a store bin across the street from a school.
Yeah, I
know.
So,
that's the kind of behavior that the Justice Department usually takes seriously.
And if he's still cavorting with friends who are smoking bongs out on their balcony, I mean, that's not a good thing. Final question, Congressman. We're going to be hearing from David Weiss. It's behind closed doors, I know, but one of the committees is hearing David Weiss, the prosecutor who was supposed to have worked out this plea deal. What question are you going to ask him? Because he certainly wasn't acting the way that a lot of Democrats said he was because he was a Trump appointee. I mean, he seemed to be acting more like a client of Hunter than a prosecutor.
Well, the first question is going to be, why did you lie to the American people? Because the whistleblower specifically said, both of them, that they were in a meeting with him, and David Weiss said that he didn't have prosecutorial discretion, that it was coming from Washington, that it was coming from the headquarters in the DOJ, and then later says publicly that he had full prosecutorial authority. Merrick Garland said that as well. So at what point were you telling the truth, and at what point were you lying? I think that's going to be, that would be the first question that I would ask. All
right. Well, gentlemen, we got a lot more to this story. We're going to be dealing with it in the last segment of the show, but we thank you for starting us off. Appreciate it.